welcome and welcome to fall. It's here, whether we like it or not. Depending where you live, you might be excited or not about that. And I want to start with a question that we teach all of our clients to ask, and we ask our own kids and ourselves, which is why. So, why are we here tonight? We're here because we want something different for our kids, probably for ourselves, for our families. If everything was going beautifully in the status quo, you probably wouldn't have signed up for this masterclass. And, Chris and I are going to talk a little bit more about who we are and ourselves in a little while here, but we have 4 kiddos between the two of us, and we're parents just like you. And we totally understand how challenging this phase of parenting can be. And that's what we're doing here tonight, to support you, to collaborate with you, and to bring you guys together too, because we're huge fans of tribe and community. We want to cultivate a growth mindset, again, for our kids, but first and foremost for ourselves. And we just want a great year ahead, whether that's going back to school, whether that's just starting a new journey. If you have young adults that aren't going to school, maybe that's just paving a new path in their lives or a new path in your own life as a parent. We want to see our kids reach what we see in them every day, which is this beautiful, pure potential they have. So you've either birthed your kids or you've had them most likely since they were little tiny infants, and you've watched them grow into these teens and young adults. And I almost get teary-eyed talking about it because we see our kids with potential and so much to bring to the table and contribute to the world. And sometimes they just don't see it in themselves. And that's really tough for us parents. So we are going to change that tonight, teach you how we help kids find that in themselves and cultivate that, and hopefully help you parents learn how you can help them and yourselves as well. Chris and I created this program from so many different perspectives. We created it from our own experiences, looking back on our own young adulthood and our adolescence and wondering, gosh, what could we have had to make things go a little bit differently for ourselves? And from our own kids and from all of our research and studies, but we've learned the most and we've perfected this over the years by getting feedback from our students, from getting an opportunity to talk to parents just like you every day. Now I think it's probably thousands of parents we've gotten to speak to. So we learn a lot from you. So as we go through this masterclass, please participate in the chat.
I just want to just say something from the bottom of our hearts. And that is just how much we feel for you, how privileged we are to have so many amazing parents who are here live and who will be watching this replay. Something that we say to the young adults that we coach every single day is that just by doing something like this makes you unique and different. Just by being curious, just by opening up your mind to, hey, what's this all about? That creates something called hope. It creates something called possibility. Our goal by the end of this presentation or training is for you to feel excited again about your young adult's future, for you to feel like you have support, like you have people in your corner who are committed not just to your young adult success, but to your success as well. And what I want for everybody to now think of is your young adult. I want for you to visualize them. I want for you to get the thought of them in your thoughts, in your mind. I want for you to see them as clearly as possible. And I want for you to keep them in your thoughts throughout this class. And so as you're thinking about your young adult and their happiness and their success, please know that that's why we're here. Erin and I, we are here to help teens and young adults overcome their challenges. No matter what that challenge is, whether they're addicted to their phone, they're distracted, they're lazy, they're unmotivated, whatever it is that you see that's holding them back, whatever that is, we're here to help them overcome those things and discover their unique potential, because everybody has a unique potential in this world. And then something that they're going to do with that called their purpose, which is the name of our brand, Extraordinary Purpose. And maybe even more importantly, we are here to partner and collaborate with amazing parents like all of you, amazing families, to help create environments that influence and create positive change. Just by doing this masterclass, hopefully you'll have some takeaways to take back to your family, take back to your environment, to start to model a lot of the things that we're going to talk about that can create some of that change that we're so eager to see in our young adults.
We're going to get started here by really looking at some of the things that probably aren't working. So some of the things you're seeing on your screen right now are a lot of what we've heard over and over again from so many parents, and even from some of the kids themselves. Well, often they know more than you think about what's holding them back. They just might not want to share it with you. Sometimes they'll share it with us. But life isn't easy. We know that in the world today, in our culture, what I call this like human experience is challenging for us, right, as adults. So it's extra hard for teens and young adults that don't have like sort of the brain development that we have as adults. It can be really hard, but there is a way forward. And so, what we always say is that becoming aware of our challenges, first and foremost, our challenges, and then our kiddos' challenges, is how we create change. We have to know what the issues are first. We have to slow down and really figure out what's going on with them and with ourselves. And, it's not ever about perfection. It's about progress. And, in this world of life coaching, there's a lot of big words we throw around, like goals and motivation and inspiration and life vision and all of this stuff. But honestly, it's about the small little baby steps that we take every day that actually make the biggest difference. And so it's about progress. It's about making those small changes each day. It's about not being critical or judgmental of our kids, but meeting them exactly where they are. And so maybe your kiddo is not motivated. Maybe they're always tired with low energy, and that can be frustrating to a parent, and it can be worrisome. Maybe they don't listen to advice from you. I know we get that in our house all the time, even though we coach young adults every day. Our kids often don't want to hear it from us. Maybe they're anxious or overwhelmed about the experience of school or just aspects of life in general. Maybe they have trouble making friends. There's some social anxiety going on there. Maybe you're not sure what it is. Maybe they just don't have any direction, especially if you have a young adult and they are done with high school, moving into this next phase, and they feel so scared because they don't have direction. So they don't see the purpose in college. Or even teens might, I don't know, why do I got to go to school? I don't feel like it. This isn't any fun. Maybe it's addictive behaviors. So it can be more serious things like vaping, alcohol, or drugs. It can be cell phones, social media, and even friendships can be distracting. I know for my son, he's a very social kid, which is awesome in a lot of ways, and it also is a distraction for him. We have to work through that all the time. Maybe it's just like I mentioned in the very beginning, that you see their potential and you just want to shake them because you see all this goodness in them, but they don't see it in themselves. And also, if there's something you don't see here that you're struggling with your kiddo at home, your young adult, let us know what's going on. So here's our family. So we're going to dive into a little bit about Chris and I. Chris and I are life partners and business partners. When we met, we were both life coaches, and we couldn't be happier that we joined forces and eventually created Extraordinary Purpose. We have 2 teenage boys and 2 preteens. Between the 2 of us, we're a blended family. So we have our hands full. So a little bit about me. I don't know about you guys, but I really love knowing about people. I love to know how they got where they are, how they found their work or in the world, or their passion or purpose. I love to know why people do what they do. So I guess that's should have been a clue a long time ago why I was going to become a life coach. A little bit about my background. I started coaching as a young adult. I have 2 nieces that were born when I was 12 and 14. So by the time they were teenagers, I was a young adult. And they came to me before their moms for everything. So I started coaching them when I was really young. And even though I'm way younger than my sisters, I was their coach. I've always been their coach as well. I did not go to college right out of high school. I started a modeling career when I was in my teens. And that's what I did for, gosh, I don't know, 15 years after I graduated high school. So I was in that industry for a long time. And obviously in hindsight, I realized I coached so many of the girls that I worked with in that business, and that's a tough business to be in. So I learned a lot just through my life experience. I do have my degree in psychology, but I chose the path of life coaching because I'm very passionate about helping people feel less alone and inspiring and empowering people through sharing a lot of my own experiences. I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life. I've been through a lot of dark nights of the soul, so to speak, and come through the other side. And I really like to coach from my own experience, as well as obviously my psychology degree. And I've led dozens of workshops, everything from meditation, journaling, parenting, nutrition and wellness, vision boards, you name it.
Erin is pretty amazing. And I think that something that we want everybody to understand is that, when there's a goal, when there's something that's important to you, or your young adult in this case, like I said before, you can't do it alone, but something that we help young adults understand the power of is of team, and
Mhm.
having people in your corner who are committed to your success, who lift you up, who make you better, who motivate you, hold you accountable, all these important ingredients that make you literally unstoppable. And so I think something that Erin and I excel at is we complement each other. We are an amazing team, and we've created this amazing environment that lets a lot of those things come to life where young adults can start to do some of this work and create some of this change. My experience comes from the corporate world, okay? Because I believe, and Erin believes, and I'm sure you recognize this too, when you were in high school, college, there were signs of your potential. There were signs of your life's purpose sprinkled throughout. And so when I graduated college, I started a career in marketing, a very successful career. And I was lucky enough to work with lots of young adults, either right out of high school, right out of college, a lot of raw talent. And something that I noticed about myself was that I excelled and I loved recruiting and hiring and mentoring these young adults. It was something that just brought me to life. The same thing that we try to do for young adults every single day. And so through that, that led me to coaching because we want to follow our passions. We want to follow our passions to our purpose. And so that's led both Erin and myself to having coached over 1,000 young adults now over the past 10 years, and their parents and their families, and just knowing all the difference and all of the people that we've helped along the way is an amazing feeling. And then you may be asking yourself, well, I've tried. I've talked to my young adult. I've tried to help them create some of this positive change. I've tried to help them do some things that will help them move forward and achieve their goals. And maybe semi-successfully, maybe not. Everybody comes into this from a different perspective, right? And we meet you where you're at. We want to learn where you're at, what your struggles are, what you tried, what's worked, and maybe what hasn't worked. And what we want you to know is that there is hope and there is possibility. And one way that we really get things kicked off is we don't focus on goals. Okay, that's a little bit further down the road. We definitely don't focus on finding your purpose, because you can't do any of those things until you have built the foundation and the lifestyle that you need in order to start to see some of these different things. And that foundation, we call those rituals. A ritual is going to be something that your young adult is going to do every single day. And they're going to do it intentionally. And it's going to serve a purpose during a time during their day when they need help, when they need support, when they need motivation, when they need creativity, when they need to excel during a test, when they need to have a conversation and walk away from that conversation having made a difference. Rituals help make all of that possible. So ways rituals help teens and young adults, just to be very, very clear. Okay, and this is a direct correlation to some of the pain points that Erin mentioned just a few minutes ago. All right, rituals are going to help your young adults provide motivation and energy. Nothing is possible. Nothing is going to change if your young adult wakes up with no energy, right? So if they're not getting a good night's sleep, which by the way, if they're not, let us know. That's something that we put a lot of coaching and training into, is helping parents and young adults really work on some healthy sleep habits, for example. So that way, when you wake up in the morning, you feel different. And a lot of this is about trying different things. Practicing is a really big part of coaching. Rituals are going to help your young adult overcome challenges. So whatever that challenge is, if you still have your young adult in your thoughts, write down what some of their individual challenges are. Rituals are going to be very important towards helping them overcome them. And in coaching, one of the most important things is to be able to focus. The more that we can help teens and young adults focus their attention, overcome distraction and focus their attention, the better they're going to feel and the better they're going to do. And that's an amazing process to go through. Rituals are also going to help change their emotional states. We can help your young adult change the way they feel at different times throughout their day. So if they catch themselves not feeling the way that they want, that's not an indefinite situation. You're not stuck. You can always regroup, realign, and refocus. And finally, rituals are going to help your young adult connect with some of the most important things in their life, their values, their goals, and their best self.
You're probably thinking, that sounds great. What are some of these rituals you teach? And like Chris said, rituals are a foundation. And we use a lot of analogies in our coaching. Young adults respond really well to visuals and analogies. And it's very simple, but I always say you can't build a house without a solid, strong, healthy foundation. If you build a house on a rocky foundation, over time, it's going to deteriorate. And the truth is that creating a life vision, for instance, or, reaching meaningful goals, having positive, healthy conversations, some of the things we're going to dive into here in a minute, it's hard work. And it takes a lot of rest, and you need your sleep. And so one of the biggest rituals we teach, like Chris said, is sleep. How to put your phone away earlier in the night, how to read, how to journal before bed, how to shut down your mind a little bit. So morning and evening routines are something we really teach right out of the gates. Exercise and nutrition and wellness overall, how to implement that into those evening and morning routines and throughout your day. So our clients journal all throughout this process with us. And we've talked to clients now that we worked with several years ago, and they still journal almost every day. Mindfulness, we really start to implement just short, because that's all they can handle sometimes, and any of us can handle short mindfulness meditation practices that really help them go within and start really connecting with themselves. Different self-care strategies and tips. Phone detox, how to put the phone away. We don't expect young adults to just throw their phones away, as much as I wish my kids would sometimes, but how to use them intentionally. So we call it intentional technology. Planning with purpose, how to start planning out their days the night before so they wake up motivated and intentional and ready to take on the day with a little bit of excitement. And then healthy and supportive environments, and a lot goes into that, but understanding their internal environment, which is like their mind and their heart, and then understanding their external environment that has to be healthy in order for them to achieve goals and things like that. And these are just a few. There is absolutely dozens of rituals that we teach. And one thing I want to say briefly too is that these rituals, we have so many of them because we all have different personalities, and different people take to different rituals. So we want them all of our clients try these different rituals. But again, clients we've spoke to years later usually have 2 or 3 that they've kept in their life for the long term.
One of the big things that we wanted to share with you today is how we help teens and young adults get started. So teens and young adults come into coaching or personal development from different places, but most of them are stuck. Most of them are lost. Most of them are overwhelmed. Some are anxious. Some are addicted in certain ways to different types of things, whether it's their phones or drugs. All of them have challenges, severe challenges that are preventing them from feeling the way that they need to feel and doing all the beautiful things that they're fully capable of doing, but they can't currently see them. And so we want to help them see the way forward. And one of the real simple and powerful ways that we help people see the way forward is by the ritual of checking in with themselves and noticing. Sounds real simple, and that's exactly the point. A teen or a young adult isn't going to do anything that's too hard or too complicated. And so especially when we're first start coaching, it's about really small steps. But in this case, this is the most important small step, because when you start to check in with yourself, and what we have teens and young adults do is we have them first check in with themselves about 3 times per day: morning, afternoon, and evening. And why do they check in with themselves? Well, checking in with yourself is your way of slowing down. Teens and young adults, they're rushing through their day, they're reacting, they're highly emotional, they're making emotional decisions. And the only way to break that is to slow down, tap the brakes. And this takes practice, but it's a ritual that we help young adults integrate into their lives to change their days, to change their lives. It helps them become more mindful and present. It helps them start to notice everything that's showing up for them or inside of them that they need to be aware of because of the effect that it's most likely having on them, whether it's their thoughts and their feelings, whether it's outside influences like friends and technology. There are distractions all around us, and we don't even know it sometimes. We don't fully appreciate the control that it has over us. And so we want to give control back. And because we recognize the difference that that can make in your young adult's life, in your life, by the way, if you're practicing this as well. Because when you disconnect from some of those distractions, when you disconnect and start noticing some of those things that are showing up for you, your thoughts, your feelings, your self-talk, all of a sudden, something really magical happens. It connects you to what's really important, which is the way forward towards your goals, towards your values. But most importantly, it helps you begin the process of making different choices. And making different choices is what we want for every single one of you and every single one of your young adults, because when they learn how to make different choices, because they're back in control and they know what's truly important to them, that really is a game changer. And so today we wanted to share with you a simple tool, a simple process that we help young adults practice every single day. And remember, all it involves is becoming more intentional and kind of planning these check-ins at first throughout the day. They'll become more automatic with practice, but at first they'll actually schedule these into their days. The way that we do this is as they are checking in with themselves, they are going to begin the process by doing 2 to 3 rounds of box breathing. So box breathing is important because we talked about the importance of focus before. And so as you are noticing, you're checking in with yourself and you're noticing a lot of really cool and important things, you want to make sure that you are present and you're mindful and you're right where you need to be able to see all of these really interesting things. And so box breathing is quite simply focusing on the breath. So tapping the brakes, kind of relaxing a little bit. Sometimes we have them close their eyes and they're going to take a long inhale in for 4 seconds. And they're going to breathe in all the way deep into their lungs. And when they go all the way deep into their lungs with that oxygen, that's going to help them start to feel settled down. It's going to start to help them feel different, which is really the main purpose of this. They're going to hold that oxygen in for 4 seconds. Okay. And then they're going to exhale for 4 seconds. And then they're going to hold it out for 4 seconds. And that's one completion of the box. And they're going to do this for 2 to 3 rounds. And as they do this, they're going to notice how they feel. They're going to let out some of that stress and some of that anxiety. They're going to start to notice some of their distractions. And as they're noticing all of these different things, they're going to bring their attention back to their breath. The best way to do this is to practice being extremely curious. Curiosity is one of the best skills ever that we can teach ourselves, that we can teach our young adults. Being curious and open-minded just opens up a whole new world to us of learning and growth and understanding and accepting. So just noticing our thoughts helps us start to learn the most important thing. We start to learn more about ourselves, because our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions are a really, really important part of ourselves. And as we're helping young adults build their identity and learn more about themselves and see themselves and love themselves, starting to notice these things non-judgmentally can make a huge difference in their health and happiness. They're also then going to start to notice some of their inner dialogue and their inner self-talk. we're going to really start to get them noticing how they're talking to themselves. Are they lifting themselves up? Are they motivating themselves? Are they saying things that they would say to their best friend? Or are they beating themselves up? Are they judging themselves? Are they being critical of themselves, making them feel terrible? We want to notice these things. And then, of course, we want to notice our distractions and really notice anything that's showing up in that moment that is making us feel unsettled, that's pulling us away from what's important, our goals, our values, our friendships, our class, whatever it is that's in this moment important to us. And if it's pulling us away, it's a distraction. And for us to notice those things can be a huge difference in our lives, because as we're doing all of this noticing, it puts us into such a powerful position. It puts us right here in the middle of the circle. And when we're in the middle of this moment, we then have the ability to notice and focus our attention on what's important to us. We're able to focus on one small step forward that we can take. And this is something that we coach young adults on every day, is that we want to know what's the one small step that you're going to take today or in this moment that's going to move you forward, because of the difference that that can make.
I just want to answer a question that somebody asked really quick, which is, do we help them differentiate from kind of what they're making up in their minds and what's reality? That's a really great question. And I just want to say that in the very beginning, it's about them truly just noticing. So we teach them it's just about becoming self-aware. So in the beginning, it's not about changing anything per se or labeling anything. It's more just for them to say, huh, that's interesting. I wonder what that's about. As we move deeper into our coaching with them, then yes, we start really touching base on all of those things, and we help them start differentiating. Is that true? Is it not? Is it helpful? Is it not? This is an opportunity for you to check in with yourself right now and, really just noticing how you're feeling. And if any of what Chris and I are talking about is resonating with you, if you're feeling like, yes, this seems so interesting, I want to know more, we wanted you to have an opportunity to talk with us outside of this environment. And so this QR code leads you to a calendar that you can book a call with Chris and I. If you'd like to have like an hour-long conversation with us about you and your life and your young adult and have us chat with them, it's more individualized. We get to dive a lot deeper. We love talking to parents. So please don't hesitate. Go ahead and take a snapshot of this, and you can go ahead and book a call with us. And it will be with Chris and I, not anyone from our team. We like to talk to you directly. We created this program and we like to be the ones to speak with you. I like to think of what Chris and I do with our clients as a journey. It's a process. It's a journey. I kind of look at it as like a book with chapters, so to speak. And one chapter kind of leads into the next one. And so, we just talked about checking in and noticing, and that's sort of AKA self-aware. So starting to slow down and notice yourself and become more familiar with your inner world is the first step. And then, of course, we really can't move forward and start making changes or start building, or what I like to say to our clients is you get to create a life. Life doesn't have to happen to you. You will get an opportunity to create your life through the process that we teach. But in order to do that, you really have to learn about who you are inside. So what makes you unique and different? We believe everybody has an extraordinary purpose. That's why we created our brand and gave it that name. All of us, all of you, Chris and I, all of our children, every human being is born with something really special, what we call like our signature ingredients. And, your child has all of this goodness within them, and they're probably just not aware of it for a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons is developmentally, kids' brain development, they're just not there yet. They have this part of their brain that's overly developed where they're in their feeling state all the time. And they only know what's going on in the moment and how it's making them feel. So they're not thinking about priorities or what are my values? Who am I? They probably have moments of that, but overall they're in the moment and they're doing a lot of feeling. So we want to help them start identifying things like their values and their passions and their interests and their curiosities and things that Chris is going to talk about here in just a second. But getting clear on these signature ingredients really helps young adults build the motivation they need. And mainly that breeds that organic inner confidence they need to start moving forward and believing that it's possible for them to create a life that they're truly going to love and be passionate about. Helps to give them direction. It helps them make choices that are in alignment with their ingredients. The reason that we do this, and we're in this chapter so early on, is if you don't know what your values are, if you don't know what you're passionate about, we make choices by default. And I think we can all agree, if we look back on our lives, that we wish we had known about this stuff a little earlier in life. We may have made some different choices. I know I would have. I know Chris would have. It's just the way it goes. So to help young adults get to know some of these things that we are still learning about ourselves as adults makes all the difference. But it helps to influence and attract the right types of relationships and opportunities based on what's really important to them and what's unique and special about them. I hope that really makes sense. When you think about your kids going back to school this year or getting out in the world and forging a new path for themselves, imagine them doing that with this knowledge of like, I know who I am. I know what's important to me. I'm going to make choices and I'm going to attract opportunities and relationships in my life based on this. It makes all the difference.
Awesome. So I hope everybody is enjoying this and starting to see just what the possibilities are. Because I know it gets us excited. And that's part of it too, is we want to shift your perspective. I know the day-to-day can be very difficult. It can be very challenging. It can be sometimes negative. And so part of this is getting you into a new environment, maybe getting your young adults into a different environment where there is just a different perspective. There's a different energy, and a big way that we build confidence is we help young adults see themselves for who they truly are. And so this little visual on this screen here is a picture of all of the different ingredients that make us unique and different and special and capable of some of those great things. All right. Something that we talk about all the time is that the more unique and different you are, the more special you are, the more you see yourself for who you truly are. That is the stuff that helps you connect that to goals, connect that to a life direction, choices that you need to make to continue to live in alignment with who you really are. Those are the things that get someone motivated to get out of bed in the morning. When you know who you are and what's important to you, all of a sudden everything changes around you. Okay. And that's what we want for you and your family, is to experience that type of change. Here are some of the special ingredients that make up your amazing young adult. So first and foremost, your signature values, their signature values. All right. This is their core ingredients. It's who they are uniquely, authentically. It's what they stand for. It's what they believe in. An analogy that I use all the time is if I met your young adult for the very first time and we had this amazing, deep conversation, and I walked away from that conversation, what would I remember about them? What are the 2 or 3 takeaways, the influence and the difference that they made on me that would be memorable? Another batch of special ingredients are our passions and our talents. And that sounds so simple, is say, what are your passions? What do you love? And yet most of young adults that we talk to don't know what they love. They don't know what they're passionate about yet. And so those are things that as we're going into this school year, we're going into this fall, we're going to finish 2024 strong, is we want to help your young adults discover their passions, discover their talents, really start to learn who they really are. Because I'll give you a little bit of a clue of what really happens is, and I think Erin and I have experienced this back in our lives as well, as different times you hold yourself back. You hold back your passions. You hold back your talents. You hold back your values for various reasons. And so something that we coach on is not holding yourself back, going all in on some of these really important parts of yourself. And if you go all in on these important parts of yourself, everything changes. Your results change, your goals change, your relationships change, your confidence changes. Then when you integrate some of the other ingredients into that mix, your personality, your individual characteristics, your quirks, Like the things that just you think maybe are a negative, they're not. There's something extremely positive that we can use to your advantage to help you go out in the world and carve your own path. And then there's also the truth that there's so much about your young adult that they don't know about themselves. You're always going to be learning and growing and getting better, learning more about yourself. And so we want your young adult to explore their curiosities, explore their interests, meet new people, have new experiences. So those are the ways that you can start to expand yourself, expand your potential with every single curiosity, every single interest. You get a little bit bigger, you get a little bit better. And then finally, the last special ingredient that we wanted to highlight tonight is something called your personal brand. This is your voice and your message and the difference that you want to make in the world. So look at this like your young adults puzzle. And this is going to be the most important puzzle that they ever put together and develop and nurture and bring to life. Because once they do, the results that you see on the outside of this image, those are the results that start to come to life.
So we wanted to share with you and highlight a few more of our special ingredients that we use in our coaching program that we hope to get a chance to share with your young adults and your teens, what we share with our own kids and all of the kids that we've been coaching. Some highlights that we teach are really learning how to practice a simple and powerful morning routine. You might be thinking like, oh my gosh, a morning routine, my kid's not going to do a morning routine. We keep it very simple. And, that's one of our rituals as well. And like I said, we really help to tailor these rituals individually. We do group coaching with our clients, but we do a lot of deep one-on-one coaching. So we get to know them really well and help them figure out how a morning routine would work for them. It can be simple things. We teach them how to get up and move their body a little, even if that just means jumping in the shower, how to do just a little bit of writing out one goal that you want to accomplish for the day, simple things like that. Really learning how to visualize your goals. So visualization is a huge part of what we teach, teaching young adults how to, first of all, visualize a future that they'd like to see for themselves and how to create those goals around that and how to visualize that and really get to know, what do I need to make this happen and who do I need to make this happen? So that comes down to relationships and conversations. That's a really big thing that we focus in on, how to find out the people you need in your circle and how to have really vulnerable, heartfelt, open conversations with people, whether it's coaches or teachers or parents. How do we have more expansive conversations to be influential, to get what we want and to contribute what we need to? And things like having self-reflection at the end of the day. This is a huge one that's made a huge impact on our clients. Simple journal exercise they do before bed after they put their phone away, half hour before bed. What's one win that I had today? What worked out for me? Something really simple. What's one thing that didn't work out for me today? So they can start learning what they need to make it better next time. And what's one thing that I learned about myself today? This helps them really fall asleep with gratitude and a deeper understanding of themselves. And then I would say one of the most important aspects that we teach is empowered identity. So just like the rituals, you need that foundation to hold up a house. In order to carry out a vision, in order to carry out goals, you have to know how you need to show up in the world. And I've done so much identity work with people over the years. It's a huge part of my coaching. I can't stress enough how important it is to know how you need to show up. So for us adults, I'm going to give you a really quick analogy is, going to the gym. So some of us love the gym. Some of us, hate the gym, but we go anyways. We might want to lose those 10 pounds. We want to feel better. We want to look better. So there's two ways we can approach going to the gym. We can wake up in the morning feeling lethargic, negative self-talk. Why are you bothering going? Not feeling good about it. No plan in place, really. Just pulling yourself onto the treadmill and then leaving early because you just let yourself down. And so the other way you could go to the gym is really waking up in the morning, having positive music going for yourself right off the bat, having a plan in place, knowing exactly what you're going to do at the gym that day. That's that like planning with purpose piece. Having affirmations on your way to the gym, visualizing your workout and how great you're going to feel when you're done. And then having a bigger vision of the results you want to see, knowing how you want to look and feel after you go to the gym for 3 months. So you can see the difference. That's empowered identity, is having all these little pieces of the puzzle in place so that you show up powerful, excited, ready to go, intentional. I'm not going to read through all of this, but go ahead and take a look at these. The difference that it will make in your young adult's life, making choices in alignment with their empowered identity is huge. And we spend a lot of time on this with our clients.
Yeah, and maybe just visualize your young adult, visualize their empowered identity. Like just see them so clearly as their best self, at their full potential. And that is their empowered identity. And so the reality is that version of themselves is already inside of them. And so it's kind of all of our responsibilities to help them see it for themselves and bring it out into the world, because that is going to help them start to feel the way that they need to feel. I want to also emphasize before we get into one small step forward is that when we talk about empowered identity, like that can seem like this big thing, when in reality, your young adult is going to be practicing becoming their best self, being their best self, starting tomorrow. Okay, that's the real beautiful thing about this, is that that's part of having a growth mindset. And having a growth mindset, I'm sure you've heard of that term before, you know what it means, but in this context, it means that every moment, every day, every week is an opportunity to get better. All right. We believe like this school year, this fall season, like you're not just in class for academics. Those academics are really, really important. We also believe that the other type of learning that can happen in high school and college is the learning about yourself. And that is maybe even more important.
Mhm.
And so that is you figuring out what your empowered identity looks like. Because when you figure out who that version of yourself is, everything's going to change. Your relationships, your conversations, your test scores, your goals, if you play sports, your performance in sports, all those things. And so now we want to bring this back to where we started, which is we want to help you and your family and your young adults take one small step forward. So we've shared a lot of examples of rituals and tools and tips that we integrate into our coaching environment, and that we hope that you can also integrate into your family environment. For example, practice asking yourself, why is this important to me before doing things? Why is this important to me? How does that help us by asking why? Well, when you get more intentional before you do something, and say you're going to work, okay? Say you're getting ready to spend time with your kids, your family. Maybe it's a dinner, right? Just stop before you go to that dinner, before you walk into class, before you walk into work, and ask yourself, why is this important to me? Why am I doing this? How is this connected to my vision and my goals and my purpose? And when you do that, that's one of the many ways in which you can find that deeper meaning, that deeper purpose, that deeper motivation to help you bring out your best in that moment. Another small step forward for all of us to take this week is to practice the ritual of checking in with ourselves, noticing at least 3 times per day. So we talked about this morning, afternoon, and evening. And so maybe you schedule them into your day. Maybe you work with your young adult to have them schedule it into your day. Okay. And remember, when they're noticing them, when they're checking in with themselves, that's their time to regroup. It's their time to ground themselves, to balance themselves, and to just notice all of those beautiful things that we talked about that are showing up for them in that moment. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, distractions. And then what's that one small step that I could take in that moment to move myself forward? Another small step forward is to practice writing down in a journal some of these things that we're noticing throughout the day. One of the best things that we can do to get this whole process started is we need to learn more about ourselves. There's so much interesting things about us that sometimes we've lost sight of. The reason that Erin and I coach young adults is because a lot of the older parents that we used to coach would tell us consistently that, man, I really wish I would have noticed some of these things about myself when I was much younger. It would have completely changed my life. It might have changed my career direction, the college that I chose to go to, the major that I studied. It might have changed some of the relationships that I got into, some of the friendships that I got into. And it all starts with noticing. And so at the end of the day, just practice writing down in the journal your values that you noticed that showed up today, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. And then also, maybe most importantly, because it's 2024 and they are everywhere, notice and write down your distractions that showed up today. Anything that prevented you from doing something that you wanted to do, or anything that prevented you from being your best self, or anything that dragged you down, held you back, made you feel terrible. And then as part of your morning ritual, just practice writing down one thing today that you're excited about. This is something that we work with young adults on all the time, is changing perspective. And so instead of being afraid of the day ahead, or not wanting to face the day ahead, and staying in bed for as long as possible and dragging through your morning as long as possible and being late to class, late to work, late to school, we want for young adults to start to get excited about what lies ahead, excited about what the day holds. And so just write down one thing today that you look forward to, or that they look forward to, whatever it is. You could do this for the week, by the way. You could do this for the month. You could do this for a year, but you have to start to look ahead to your future so that you have something to move towards that's exciting, compelling, and motivating.
I just want to add one last thing here is that, and I know you've all had experiences with this, and it's just a reminder from mom to mom or parent to parent, when you are modeling these things for your kids, when you are leading by example rather than nagging or reminding incessantly, which I do too, we all do it. When you are leading by example, everything is a lot smoother, right? In your home and your relationship with your kids. And it's so challenging, I know, but we're hoping that you can take some of that last slide and start implementing some of these things into your life. And it creates a different energy for yourself and for your relationship with your kids. But Chris and I just want to say that we really completely wholeheartedly are here for you. We support you. We love collaborating with the parents of the kids we work with because we get it. We have 4 kids. We have 2 teen boys, River and Ben, and my daughter Skylar's 12, and our other son William is 12 as well. And so we're in it full throttle. We get it, and it's challenging. And so we want to support you. More importantly, or as importantly, we want to support your kids, your teens, your young adults, wherever they are. We would love to meet them where they are and take it from there. And that's exactly what we do. We really hope we get a chance to talk with each and every one of you. We'd be more than happy to take our time out and really chat with you, chat with your kiddos.
Just be very proud of yourself. Everybody is doing an absolute amazing job, and we're very proud of you and we support you. I know the theme of this masterclass today was geared towards young adults, but we also want the best for you parents.
Mm-hmm.
We want for you to align with your values, align with your purpose, learn some of these rituals that are going to help you move forward in your life so that you can find or reconnect with your passions and your empowered identity because of the difference that can make in your life. And so that is really what is near and dear to our hearts, is for the parents to follow this journey as well, because we know what that difference can make for you and your family. So thank you again for your time tonight. We really appreciate it, and we will talk to you all soon.
Thanks so much for being here.